Hi, my name is Banky Wellington and I am an under 40 CEO.
The African Renaissance. The concept that the African people and nation shall overcome the current challenges confronting the continent and achieve cultural, scientific, and economic renewal is here, with young men and women taking the lead. Some call them the new school heroes. We call them under 40 CEOs.
Ever since you launched the E.M.E business in Nigeria and up until now, there have been major shifts and changes in the revenue models. Some major, some minor, but how major and how have these changes affected you as a business?
I would say probably the most major change that we've gone through is the decision to close the label operations, which we took last year. It's probably affected my business, honestly, extremely positively. Now, that's not to say that we didn't do okay with the label business. We did. You know, we had our wins. I think we ran the label in Nigeria for almost 10 years, 9 years. And in that time, there were a lot of artists who we were able to help grow and expand. And so we did well as a label, but we were a label that started to dabble into other things. Because of course, going back to, kind of my mindset, it's like, what else can we do, right? So we would sit in these meetings with corporates who we were engaged with because I was an ambassador or because we were doing some sort of show or something for them. And then there would be agencies in the room. And a lot of times, it would be the ideas that we bring to the table creatively that the client actually wants.
Run with. Yeah.
So the client would say, oh, okay, we don't like this idea, do Banky's idea. Oh yeah, work with them, help them pull it off. So we started finding that more and more our corporate clients were not really being served on an agency side or a marketing or advertising side creatively enough. And they were looking to us to do those kinds of things. And of course, that was opening up more revenue streams for the label. And it just felt like that corporate business now started to pretty much overtake the income that we were making. The music income was okay, but some of these other projects were coming along and we were knocking them out. And we started to see the trend that, if we actually focus on this thing full time, we can actually turn this into a bigger source of revenue, into a bigger business. And then also you have to take into account the fact that over here, the music business is probably structured in a way that weakens institutions like record labels. And the reason for that is we don't have royalties, we don't really have publishing, we don't really have the things that hold up the music business in other parts of the world, the things that make Universal or Sony or whatever like a really strong institution. We don't really have that. So that's why you hear so many times people have, the artist is fighting with the label. I mean, every week it seems like there's another artist fighting with the label. And I also was studying the music business as a whole and realizing that, in my opinion, you don't really need a label anymore. You kind of probably need management. You need really strong management that understands it, that will probably do some of the things that a label would have done. And then now with like music going digital and distribution and all of that, once you can get your stuff on iTunes and on Spotify and on Tidal and all of those things, then really what do you need a label for? It's just really more to pay for your music videos,
pay for your sessions,
artist development, pay for studio, but even how you record music has changed, right? Because now everybody can record themselves. You have a powerful enough laptop, you have a mic and a sound card, you can record. That's a studio. You don't back in the day you needed like a huge big studio setup and all of this stuff. I mean, most of E.M.E's hit records were made in a room in my house. So for us, it was like, okay, the label thing is cool, but we've done this for so many years, and it just felt like it was the right time, if ever, to make that transition. Because you also don't want to be the company that just didn't realize when it was time to shift focus and to expand and focus on other things. So for us, it was like, okay, 2017 was like the year that we, low-key decided to, we granted all the artists their releases. We freed everybody, and then we said we're going to focus on this other work. Now we still maintain a talent management part, and we still work, but now we're not limited to working with just artists. We work with artists, actors, OAPs, comedians. We're looking at the sports agency business, and that's just on the talent management side. And then we do marketing, we do media buying. We're a full-fledged media outfit. And the success that we have in these low-key is even more than the success that we're establishing as a label. And the reason I also like it is because I wanted to build E.M.E into a company that can live without me. And that's important, right? Because who owns Coca-Cola? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Who owns, any of the big companies? You don't really know. You might know the CEO, but it doesn't matter because those companies always provide a service. Who owns Airbnb? Who owns Uber? They provide a service. They meet a need. And actually the easiest way, again, I go back to Jay, again, the easiest way that I try to use to reference, that I use to explain to people is how Jay-Z went from Rockefeller to Roc Nation. Rockefeller was a record label, and it was Dame Dash and him and their guys, and it was rappers and producers, and it was like album after album. And then they went to Roc Nation, which has a sister company that's an advertising agency. And Roc Nation, gets into events, gets into touring, gets into marketing, arranges endorsement deals. And that's what E.M.E is now. It's like we're a full-fledged media outfit. When it comes to the marriage between corporate and entertainment, we feel like nobody understands that space and that line better. We understand what it's like to sell music. We understand what it's like to connect to a target market. We understand how both worlds can meet to hit goals. We understand advertising, we understand TV commercials. We bring that level of creativity. If I can shoot a music video that is, there's a story, and people notice from my videos over time that I've always done storyline, like message videos. I've never been the, girls jump on a table and shake your ass type of artist, right? So if I can do all of those, then if I can tell a story from my music video, I can tell a story about a product. I can tell a story about something that you're trying to sell. And low-key, we've sold products over the years. So for us, it was like the natural transition from going from being Rockefeller to trying to be Roc Nation. And we found that very rewarding so far, thank God.
And you did it with so much ease because, I look at the history of a lot of companies that used to be.
Yeah.
And they struggled to evolve. And of course, a lot of them went the way of the fax machine.
Yeah. Realizing that evolution is necessary. Realizing that you cannot do the same thing forever. And honestly, I've always felt like the day that you stop growing is the day that you start dying. So for me, it was always like, even in my personal life, once I start to hit a goal, it's like, okay, it's time to shift the goalpost. It's time to focus on something else. And the minute my music career got up to a place where I was stable and financially viable, I was like, okay, which other artists can we put on? And the minute we got those, it's like, okay, what else can we do? And that's just how I've always been. Like I said, from childhood, I've always had that mindset that, you know what, I gotta grow, I gotta expand, I gotta try new things, I gotta knock down new boundaries and all of that. And that's what we're trying to do as a company. And so far, so good.
All right, so talking about the company, tell me, Banky, what's your current organizational structure?
The current organizational structure, E.M.E, like I said, it's a one-stop shop media agency. We play in the advertising and marketing fields. We play in the talent management field. We play in the general media field. And so I'm the CEO. My business partner and best friend, Tunde, is the COO. And we're the two major shareholders. And then we kind of have like a matrix of, there's somebody that's involved in communications, there's somebody that oversees our events division, there's somebody that oversees our client accounts division, and then there's somebody that's in charge of operations kind of across the board. And then everything kind of spills, kind of filters in to that matrix.
This is Under 40 CEOs.
Banky is an actor most popular for his role in the box office smashing The Wedding Party 1 and 2. However, he must not only balance his act as a singer, actor, and chief executive, but also as a husband to the delectable actress Adesua E.M.E Wellington. There's this debate about work-life balance has been ongoing for so long. Is it achievable or is it a myth?
It's achievable, but it definitely is a struggle. But I think it's key. You know, we talked about what success means earlier, and if all you're doing is working 24/7 and making a lot of money, but your health is going down the drain, you know, work-life balance is important. It's important to take some vacation time, especially when you just become married. Your wife needs some of your time. So I'm still learning that. I'm still trying to balance that.
You're a diehard Arsenal fan.
Oh, yeah.
So you must love watching football. But
Yeah.
How else do you typically unwind?
I love spending time with my wife, honestly. So we spend a lot of time together whenever we can because our jobs make us travel a lot. I love spending time with friends and family. I love travel. And I'm fortunate enough that my job kind of sends me around the world, which is like the most amazing thing ever. So, you know, most of the time when you see me travel is for work, but I find time to like just experience different cultures, experience different cities. I'm a foodie. I love food. I love food. Forget. Like, it's terrible.
You don't look it though.
Anyway, so I love to cook actually. So I'm actually training to be a chef low-key on the side because I have my sights set on a restaurant in the near future. I love to go see the movies. I love to go see shows. You know, just regular stuff. I play with my dog a lot. I got a little dog.
Okay.
And everybody should own a puppy. They just relieve your stress. You just feel better about life. Yeah.
I'll consider that.
Yeah, do that. And I read, and I like to read.
Still on the subject of travel, you mentioned travel. How has travel and interacting with different cultures helped to shape your perspective in life and your person? Unquestionably,
it helps. I always advise people, if you are blessed enough to see the world, you should definitely do it. Because, like you said, it just makes you appreciate this world that we live in. And there's something that you can learn from every society, from every person. There's something that you can take. So for me, it's unquestionable. I try to have a balanced view, and that is directly related to all the exposure that I've received from just traveling the world. So tell me, what are those key challenges that you've had to overcome to make the strides you've made so far? There's business challenges and personal challenges, right? So for me, on the personal side, I've had some health challenges that I've had to deal with. I'm sure you know. I've had 3 surgeries now on skin cancer. Thankfully, I'm in the clear. By the grace of God, it is never coming back again in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you. There's a good amen in the studio. And then there are just challenges in trying to pull off any great business idea, right? It's the challenge of financing. It's the challenge of trying to make target an audience and make sure that they pay attention to what you're trying to do. Sometimes it's just the challenge of kind of just not giving up, right? Like when you're working so hard on something and it looks extremely bleak. And for me, there's a time that sticks out in my mind. I had moved back to Nigeria in 2008, so I had spent 11 months in Nigeria. So this was the end of 2008 going into 2009. And at the time, before I'd moved back, I had these, preconceived delusions of grandeur that I was going to come in and my album was going to be the best album Africa had ever seen, and I would shoot to the top of the charts, and that's it. And I'm just like I'm the Michael Jackson of Africa until the day that I die. And of course, you get here and you realize that, everybody's like, Banky W, if it's sing, and that boy they sing, okay, cool. And then they just move on. So that 2008 year was extremely difficult for me because all of these, I had saved so much money from my engineering job and I had spent it all on music videos and promo and all of this. And I wasn't getting any performances. I couldn't even dream of an endorsement at the time. Like there was nothing going on. It got so bad because at the time I moved back and I lived with Segun Demore, Tunde's older brother. And God bless him and his wife for giving me a place to stay and food in my belly. So at the time, Segun had this old car, just an extra car in the house. So he gave that car to me. So that was my car to get around. And that car broke down on every major road in Lagos, everywhere. Awolowo Road, Third Mainland, everywhere in town possible that the car could break down, it would break down. And at the time, I was so broke, I'll never forget, I used to borrow 5,000 naira from Segun. I used to say borrow. I used to take 5,000 naira from Segun every Monday, and that was to put gas in the car and to buy a recharge card so I could go around and hustle and push the music and network and all of that stuff. And so December 31st, I went to the overnight service in church. the watch night service to bring in the new year, because I always go for that. I mean, I go to church, period. But I went that year, and I remember I was really depressed. I was really frustrated. My music wasn't really working. Nobody really understood. They would always tell me things like, R&B is nice, but they don't really like that yet. You need to do jimpa music or whatever. And so it was a very difficult time for me. So I went to church and I prayed. And then on leaving church, I got kidnapped by armed robbers. And they drove me around for, it's like the worst 45 minutes of my life. They beat me up, they took everything I had. It was a harrowing experience, guns in my face and everything. Made it through, got home. They actually let me keep my car, God bless them. This car that was breaking down everywhere. And a few days later, somebody that worked in the house got drunk, entered this car, scaled over a gutter and rammed the car into a wall in the estate where Shegun lived.
Wow.
So I actually came and saw my car. My only means of getting around town is now lodged in a wall with a NEPA pole and broke. I don't even know, if you tried to do this thing, you probably couldn't pull it off. So I don't even know how he did it. But so now I'm broke, my music isn't working, I'm not getting any shows, I don't have any endorsements. I'm borrowing 5,000 naira every week to put gas in the car. Oh, by the way, the car is now ruined and totaled, so you don't even have a car anymore. And I always tell people, it was like, for me, going through skin cancer surgery and things like that, those were things that it was almost easier for me to deal with, because those were things that I felt like God was responsible for. So if I'm sick, it's God that will heal me, or use a doctor to help me get better. So I could understand that. But something where it's like, I feel like I'm skilled, I'm talented, and I work hard, I should be able to make this happen. So that I was now in this place, I was broke, nothing was working, and all of that I don't think I've ever been that depressed in my entire life. And at the time, it was like, man, this really is rock bottom. I got nothing. I can't even get around. I can't even get to go. If I say I want to record another album, I can't even get to the studio. And I remember one day I had a conversation with Shegun, and he was like, we talked about it, and we said, the good thing about hitting rock bottom is as long as you don't die, it means you have another chance to get it right. It means you can try again. It means you can hold on. It means you can hold on to your dreams. It means you can, as long as you don't die, as long as you're here and there's still breath in your lungs, then there's still hope that it can turn around. And the great thing about rock bottom is that you can't get any lower than that. So anything that happens at that point, it will probably be a little bit better than it is right now. And so we had that conversation. And I said, I'd like to get back in the studio, but I don't have money to take a cab, talk less of, go. And at the time he said, okay, who do you want to work with? I said, Cobham's. He said, call Cobham's office and find out how much it is. So I called. Cobham's wasn't my friend then. He's my friend now, but he's still very expensive. Anyway, so I called Cobham's office, found out the price, I told him. And he went and borrowed money, I think from his father-in-law or somebody, and came back to me and said, hey, you've borrowed this. Pay Cobham's, use the remaining to, take cabs and just try again. When something is not working, sometimes you have the same goal, you just change the method. And for me, up until that point, I had always kind of handled my own production with my production partners and stuff. So now I was like, okay, I'm still going to do music, but I'm going to branch out and start working with other people. So I started working with Cobham's. LD and I became really good friends, and he really inspired me to understand that, yes, I could still do R&B, but to add enough of the Nigerian influence into it so that they understand it. Don't Break My Heart is every bit as strong a song as Yes, No, or Strong Thing, but Strong Thing says, oh, more you go push my button, ting, ting, which is not something which is different from just a regular R&B song. And so that became my plan. It was like, okay, I'm going to change things around, work with people that can kind of help me understand that marriage. And the first song, speaking of Strong Thing, the first song that Cobham's and I ever recorded from my career was Strong Thing. And that was the song that was the beginning of my turnaround. So for me, it's like, challenges come, hard times come, rock bottom might actually come. But the good thing with that, and this is what I tell people, is sometimes it is in that moment that you're at rock bottom that you have to hold on just a little bit longer. Because I was this close to saying, you know what, I've tried, it didn't work, I'm going back to get a master's degree or to get another job. And I literally was this close to throwing in the towel. But I just said, you know what, I've come this far, I'm already here, everything's terrible. So I'm just going to hold on a little bit longer. And that's kind of how my story has not been one of a huge, something big happens and everything changes. It's just been one of determination. It's been one of not giving up on yourself, believing in yourself, believing in what you feel like you are meant to be doing, and holding on to that regardless of how bad things get, regardless of your health or any bad experiences or your financial situation or whatever it is. It's just holding on and just trying again and trying different ways to achieve that goal. And, thank God I did.
That's an amazing story, man. Amazing. So from being a music artist, today on your resume you say it's actor.
Oh yeah. We do that too now. Yeah.
You do that too, and of course you went back to school at some point.
To film school.
To film school as well. So are we expecting you to produce a couple of movies soon?
Definitely. I've always been into filmmaking and drama and plays. I used to write the school play at some point in my life. I've always been kind of dabbling in acting. And like I said, it was always the goal to branch out. It was never meant to be just about my solo music career. And so, definitely, we're going to be doing more of that. We did Wedding Party, that did very well.
Amazingly well.
Very, very well, thank God. And I'm currently scripting a film. My wife and I are working on a Broadway-style musical.
Nice.
We're also developing a TV show. All of these things are very much in the development stages, and if I had to guess, I would say probably 2019 is when we'd be releasing them. But definitely a lot more in the film business, and I'm still going to be acting as well.
Okay, amazing. So how would you describe your leadership style?
First and foremost, I like to lead by example. I would say that I like to empower people around me. I feel like you're pretty much only as good as the weakest link in your team. So I like to give people that empowerment to say, okay, this is your thing. Give them the room and the freedom to express themselves without getting too far, off the reservation. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so what I like to do is to make sure that the people around me that are in positions, I'm empowering them to be leaders in their own right and to be the best at what they're doing. And that in turn eventually makes me the best at what I'm doing. So I would say leading by example. I would say empowering the people around me. I would say vision is extremely important. Setting a vision, and a vision that everybody else can buy into.
So tell me about your failings as a leader.
Over time, there have been situations where we have maybe employees that don't quite work out. And what I realized that a lot of times, leaders don't realize that your followers fail, not because they're bad followers, but because you've done a bad job leading. And I think with E.M.E, especially when, about a year and a half ago when we started making this transition to kind of be more of a corporate outfit, in the beginning, it started as a label, but in a very loose definition of the word label, it was just a crew of guys and people, our friends and people that kind of bought into it, and we just roll as a crew. But then when you get into business, you know that you cannot have corporate clients and then just you and your partner doing everything, just kind of being haywire. And I think that one of the things that we failed with in the beginning when we started the transition is just not having the proper structure and not setting the right policies and not setting the policy for your employees to understand that this is what is expected of you. In the beginning, I always expected that everybody would have as much initiative and drive as I did, which is completely false. Like, it just doesn't happen. And so I realized that as a leader, you need to actually set those expectations for your employees. You need to set those expectations for your staff, for them to understand that this is my job, these are the things that I'm supposed to be doing, this is where I'm supposed to be, and this is how I'm supposed to go about doing it. And so Tunde and I had that conversation at one point, and we said, okay, we need to change up. We need to introduce structure. And that, when you set those kind of specific expectations, then people understand what you expect of them and can do it. But if you just expect that they would get it because that's how you are, then, So I think that we had a lot of struggles with that in the beginning. And we're still working out those kinks, honestly. Okay. But we're a lot better at leadership now.
I'm sure you are. So right now, what would you say are the values that the firm, holds really dear?
Meeting or exceeding your clients' expectations. I would say integrity. I would say creativity. I would say We believe that we're a different kind of team. Creativity is at the very foundation of what we do. So if we're coming into a project, we have to be able to do it in a way that nobody has ever done it before. We have to do it in a way that the client has never seen before. We're a results-driven organization. We believe in meeting and exceeding expectations. I think that's it for us.
So what would you say is the biggest letdown that you've experienced in your career so far?
I feel like for me, letdowns are just a learning experience at the end of the day. So as long as whatever happened, you learn whatever lessons there are and you pick up from there and you move forward, then it's fine. I don't focus on disappointments so much. I focus on them as long as I need to learn whatever lessons I need to learn, and then it's in the past. Okay. And that's kind of how I've always operated. I also don't, on the flip side, I don't focus on wins. I don't focus on success. I don't focus on awards. I don't focus on any of those things because, I think for me it's all about being balanced, having a balanced mindset, not getting too excited or too depressed, because the same people that praise you one day can be the people that will stone you the next. So you just do your job to the best of your ability, learn whatever lessons there are to learn, and constantly evolve to be a better person and a better businessman, and that's it.
This is Under 40 CEOs.
A hard-working businessman who has had to overcome varied challenges in his personal and work life to make the amazing strides and record numerous successes. Banky is living his dream life. However, what are those lifestyle choices that he makes on a day? How does he spend the resources he works so hard to earn? All right, so I have a few quick-fire questions for you. What do you love to eat?
Jollof rice and chicken and plantain.
So how would you describe your fashion style?
My fashion style? You describe it now. You're the fashion king now. What do you think? I would describe my fashion style as probably just an expression of how I'm feeling. So some days you see me like this. Some days I'm in kaftan. Some days I'm like in a t-shirt and a hat, So my fashion style is directly related to how I'm feeling and what I need to handle for the day.
What's your favorite brand to wear?
Maya Tafo.
So what other CEOs do you currently look up to?
I really look up to Steve Jobs.
So what's your favorite car to drive?
Probably a Range, but I'm not a car guy.
What's your favorite travel destination?
Cape Town.
Your favorite book of all time?
The Bible.
And what book are you reading right now that's not the Bible?
The book I'm reading right now is The Screenwriter's Bible, because I'm writing, as I said.
So lastly, I'd like to know, Banky,
Yes,
what
sir.
makes you happy?
Family, success, peace, or being at peace.
Thank you for coming on Under 40 CEOs, Banky.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's been an honor. Hi, my name is Banky Wellington, and you too can be an Under 40 CEO.
This is Under 40 CEOs.